Hi everyone. Today we are going to study another type of document, that is the test design document. Now this is the document in which information needed for adequate testing is provided. When you are doing system development, during during the system development phase, this particular document, that is the test design document, provides you with the information that is needed for adequate testing. Testing, as you know, is required to be done to check the performance of the system. Before you hand over the actual system to the client, you need to test it to find out any errors if they exist. So it lists all the approaches, procedures and standards to ensure that a quality product that meets the requirement of the users is produced. So this very document, that is the test design document, provides all those or lists out all those approaches, procedures and standards, because we need to ensure that a quality product which is error free is provided to the client. Now this document, that is the test design document, is generally supplemented by documents like schedules, assignments and results. So it requires certain other documents to supplement it, which are the schedule documents, the assignments and the results. This document provides valuable input for the maintenance phase. After testing and when the system is finally implemented onto the client side, maintenance is an ongoing activity. So for that maintenance phase also, this document provides quite a valuable input. Now the typical content of a test design document is like this. It consists of the introduction part. The first part in the test design document is the introduction part. The introduction consists of various sub parts. The first is your purpose. Now with the help of the purpose part, you identify what is the purpose of this document and what are its intended audience. When I say intended audience, that means who all will be using this, these all things are clearly stated in the purpose of the introduction part. Then within the introduction part comes the scope. When we talk of scope, it basically gives us an overview of testing process. What would be the testing process and what are the major phases in which the testing would be done, that is what are the major phases of the testing process. Then in the introduction part you have the glossary. The glossary basically gives definition of all the technical terms, just like glossary in any other document. Here also in the test design document, glossary gives you the definition of all the technical terms that will be used throughout in this document. So you know that what this term refers to. There is no confusion when you come across any technical term. You already know that what this particular term means. Then is your references. Within introduction you have the references. Any references to any external documents stated in the document, including references to related project documents, are stated here. So whatever are the references, whatever documents you have referred to design the test document are mentioned over here in the references part. Now these references usually refer to the system requirements specification and the system designs documents. So basically the test design document is for the testing the system. So all these for testing the system you will need to refer to the system requirement specification document and the system design document specification. So basically when I say that the references to any external documents are provided here, so those external documents are basically the system requirement specification document and the system design specification document. Now the another thing that comes under the introduction portion is the overview of the document. When I say overview of the document, that means you describe the contents and organization of the document in a generic sense. You do not go into the details, but just give an overview of what all the contents and organization of the document would be like. Then the second thing after introduction is the test plan. A test plan is a document that describes the scope, approach, resources and schedule of intended testing activities. So, basically with the help of the test plan, you know what the plan for testing would be. So, this is a document which would be describing what is the scope of the test, what is the approach that would be used for testing, what are the resources that will be used for testing, what would be the schedule of the testing, and all the intended testing activities. Within test plan, then you have schedules and resources. Schedules and resources, when I say, it gives you an overview of the testing schedule. Now, testing also needs to follow a particular schedule. You cannot do testing as and whenever the testers feel comfortable. It has to have a particular schedule. So, the overview of the testing schedule is provided over here in various phases. Testing cannot be done all at once, it is done module by module, it is done for all the modules together also. So, what all phases would be there for the testing, that is mentioned here in the schedules and resources portion, along with what all resources would be required for testing, because when you are doing testing, you would require certain resources to do the testing. So, what all resources are required for the testing, what would be the schedule of the testing, and in how many phases that testing would be done, all this is specified in the schedules and resources portion of the test plan. Then within the test plan, another thing, that is the recording of test. When you are doing the test plan portion, in that portion recording of test is also a phase wherein you specify the format of the to be used to record the test results. See, when you are doing testing, you will get some results. Now, you need to record those test results for future references. So, what would be the format in which you would record these test results is specified here in the recording of tests. Then it should be very specifically name the item to be tested. See, you are not testing everything all at once, you are testing things module by module or component by component. So, you should specifically name the item or component or module that is to be tested over here to remove or to avoid any ambiguity. The person who did the testing, it is also very important to mention what module was tested and the person, name of the person who did the testing of that module, reference of the test process data, how the testing was done, what was the process that was carried out, that was used to carry out the test. All these references have to be provided, and the results expected by the test. Of course, when you are doing test, you expect certain results. So, what are those results that are expected by the test, that has to be mentioned here, and the date on which the test was carried out also needs to be mentioned while recording of tests. If a test fails, it is not necessary that a test will succeed all the time. So, if in case a test fails, the person with the responsibility to correct and retest is also documented. If in case the test fails, you know in advance who would be the person who would correct the test and then retest it. So, that is also be documented well in detail. Then is reporting your test results. Within the test plan, you also report the test results. So, when I say reporting the test results, basically you are giving a summary of what has been tested successfully and the errors that still exist which are to be rectified is specified. If the test is unsuccessful, it is a different thing. Of course, then it has to be retested, maybe by the same person or by some other person. But if the test is successful, then you obviously, if there are any errors, if it is error free, well and good, but if there are errors in the errors found if the test has been carried out, then you have to list out those errors, that what those errors are and whether they are still existing or not, and which have to be rectified. Obviously, that is why you do the test, so that you find out the errors and then rectify them. So, when a test has been performed successfully on a particular module, you find out the errors that still exist in that particular module, and then rectification is also specified in reporting the test results. Then the third thing here is, the third point is verification testing. When I say verification testing, that it consists of various kinds of testing. The first the first testing is the unit testing within verification testing. So, when I say unit testing, unit means a component, like in your books also, your entire book is divided into various units or chapters, so that it is easier for you to understand or study them. So, similarly here also the entire application software is divided into units or components or the modules as you call them. So, in unit testing, each unit or component or the module, there must be a test which will enable tester to know about the accurate functioning of that unit. So, individually a test is performed on each module or component, and with the help of that test, the tester will know if that particular module is accurately functioning or not. Then within your verification testing only, you have, after unit testing, you have integration testing. Basically, when I say integration testing, that means you are integrating everything. So, multiple parts of the software system, that is the multiple components or multiple modules, are tested as a group. In unit testing, you test the modules individually, but in integration testing you collectively test all these modules as a group. So, integration test is done on modules or subsystems, obviously collectively on modules or subsystems. Then within your verification testing, the third kind of then after the verification testing, you have validation testing. In validation testing, there is system testing. Now, what is system testing? This is the top level of integration testing. At this level, requirements are validated as described in the SRS. See, basically before testing or implementing the system, you prepare the software requirement specification document, wherein you document all the requirements that are expected from the final system. So, in the system testing, the integration testing is done. Integration testing means all the modules are collectively tested to find out if they are meeting the requirements that were validated as described in the software requirement specification document. Then in validation testing, after system testing, there is acceptance and beta testing also. Now, when I say acceptance and beta testing, during this test, real data is used for testing by the development team. That means the system which is finally implemented, then you put real time data. You do not put any fake or dummy data, but you put real data which would be used by, which would be put by the organization when the system is working. So, the real data is used for testing once by the development team, and when this testing of when the real data is used for testing by the development team, such kind of a testing is known as acceptance testing or alpha testing. And when the customer uses real data to test the system, it is known as the beta testing. So, hence it is also known as the alpha testing and beta testing. Basically, alpha testing is nothing but when the final system is completely tested and it is about to be implemented, then the development team puts the real data in the system as input to test. That is known as your alpha testing, and when that real data is put in by the system by the customer, that is known as your beta testing. So, this is your test design. This is how your test design document looks like, and these are all the purposes that it solves.